All right, and welcome back to the forecast card. Unfortunately, 0-2 in NBA yesterday. Grizzlies was a pretty bad beat. Curry dropped 52, made like 13 threes or something. Um, and the Warriors ended the game off on an 18-5 run to basically end up winning that game by like 11 points or something. It was basically neck and neck until like the final 2 minutes where the Warriors just went on like a massive, massive run. Uh, It is what it is. Raptors pretty much stood no chance. They had maybe some chances early on in the third quarter, but the Bulls kept going on these like 12-0 runs, like three of them in the last quarter, and then up winning that game by like 20 points. So pretty shitty game. It is what it is. Fucking hate Steph Curry with a passion, but yeah, three games I'd like for tomorrow. Complete opposite. Fully scratch. Uh, Favorites are the games that I do like. So let's get into those three games quickly. All right, heading out to game number one, we have the Knicks versus the Cavs. I'm just gonna end up. I think I'm gonna take the Cavs in this one. The Cavs staying at home here after a solid win over the Clippers. They went through a bit of a rough stretch, but they're back to winning four of their last five. Not necessarily any of them in blowout fashion here, but the Knicks, coming off a solid win over Philly, but now they're traveling. Um, going from home to the road on a back to back is always a tough spot. Um, Cavs 3-1 in the last three games at home. Knicks are 3-1 in their last road games, but all their wins were against some bad teams. Last time they had to travel this far is when they played, guess who? The Cavs, and they lost by 37 points. So getting them on a back to back after they already crushed them, I think the Knicks maybe just right off this game. Cat's very likely going to be out. Brunson's still going to be out. Um, Cameron Payne probably going to be out. Miles McBride's still going to be out. Who knows? I believe Brunson and Cat are still questionable, but realistically, I don't see them wanting to suit them up here on the first game, especially on the second game of a back to back. So I think Cavs take care of business. They're locking back in here, and the Knicks kind of collapse as they typically have been this entire year on the second half of a back to back. So give me the Cavs minus 10.5. All right, heading out to game number two, we have OKC versus Detroit. Now, in terms of this spot, uh, again, I kind of just been liking OKC overs lately. As home favorites, OKC is 24-13 to the over. As road dogs, Detroit is 13-9 to the over. Um, and Detroit's gonna be well rested for this game. With 2 days off, they are 7-3 to the over. So I definitely love the spot for them. They're coming off a tough loss against Minnesota. 2 days to kind of sit on that loss, and they're going to come back offensively. OKC has just been a complete powerhouse of an offense. The last they're on like a 10-win streak, putting up 145, 132, 125, 121, 141, 133, 121, and everyone on the other side still putting up over 100 points. So they're playing at a fast pace, kind of forcing other teams to play at a fast pace as they take early leads. And yeah, over-under wise, both these teams went over their last two games. Detroit's definitely an over team on the road. OKC is much more of an over team at home. I think we're getting these two teams in a good spot. Cade Cunningham, obviously still not playing for Detroit, but he's typically been the ball handler that slows down their pace a little bit. So without him, their pace has gone up. I think we end up in a kind of like a 128 to 100 and like 11-10 a game here, hitting around 240. So I definitely like OKC versus Detroit over 230.5. All right, and to finish this off, I'm not a really big fan of taking insanely big spreads in basketball, but I'm gonna lay with the Clippers here, minus 17.5. The Clippers are 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. They've been playing incredible basketball. Their team is finally fully healthy. I think the only person that's going to be out this game for the Clippers is Coffee, who's important, but again, I don't think he's necessarily that important. Pelicans are going to be without DeJounte Murray. Herb Jones still going to be out. Trey Murphy's going to be out. Zion and CJ are officially out for the rest of the season. Jordan Hawkins is not going to be out. So this is just going to be a bunch of bench players. Um, yeah, I don't see a world here where the Clippers don't shit on them. They've been playing really good basketball, especially defensively. Um, really, their only losses since the 11th have been against OKC and Cleveland. Otherwise, they've been basically blowing teams out covering this number. Um, and the Clippers, they actually lost to the Pelicans on the road, 120 to 127. Obviously, that was a game where Zion and CJ were playing. Now we're getting them, I guess, in a revenge spot. Coming back home, the Pelicans are going to be traveling here. Um, a decent amount. 1,600 miles to play this game, where they've 3-1 or 1-3 playing those in those spots, while the Clippers are, 3-1 at home, where they've covered this number in 2 games and almost covered it against Cleveland, which is pretty impressive. So, I think this is a great spot here to back the Clippers. I can imagine like a 121 to 98 type of game. I just don't think the Pelicans are going to show up for this one. All right, and those are the 3 games that I'm betting on NBA tomorrow. The recap, got the Cavs minus 10.5, Pistons versus the Thunder over 230.5, and the Clippers minus 17.5. In terms of leans, leading the Hornets in the matchup here against Indiana. Indiana, a team that can easily beat a team by 60, but they always kind of come short against teams that they should blow out. They had a really big win over the Wizards, but I think that was just kind of obscure offense. They have 2 key players that are on a game time decision. If it's questionable if they're going to play against a team like Charlotte, I just don't think they're going to risk starting players just to re-aggregate an injury. So, would lean Hornets. Wizards, very similar. Sacramento, not a good road team, but Washington kind of beat up. Without Poole, their offense is kind of dog shit. So I would definitely lean the Wizards just to cover at home. I'm not sure if the Kings can show up. But again, Kings fully healthy for this game. So they have the ability definitely as they're kind of trying to lock in on a playoff spot. Celtics, minus 11. Almost bet this one, but I didn't want to go too chalk. Miami, going to be missing a couple pieces, but a lot of game time decisions for the Celtics. And Tyler Hero has a pretty good matchup here, and I think he could go off for like 40 points. So I'd rather not take a double-digit spread with the Celtics, who fail to cover that big number at home quite often. Jazz plus 17.5. I think this number is a little bit too big for a Houston team that seems to not take advantage of really big matchups. I just think it's a little bit too big. I think they win this game by like 13 points. Mavs first half minus 2.5. I lean Mavs full game. I'm expecting AD to play. I just don't love laying points with the Mavs here. They could easily win this game by a ton, but you don't really know what you're going to get from the Hawks. They're going to be on a back-to-back, but they played not terribly on back-to-backs. They're 5-10 against the spread on back-to-backs, but they still have been. Sorry, they're 7-7 against spread on back-to-backs, but they're 5-10 with the rest disadvantage. Which obviously the Mavs aren't playing on a back-to-back, but I would lean the first half. I think the Mavs have typically played pretty good to start off, especially AD, who's an elite first quarter player, but I'm not really sure if he's playing, so no interest yet in betting that. Nuggets minus 8. They just had a heartbreaking loss after a collapse on like a foul on a 3-point shot, losing in triple overtime. Pretty sad game there, or 2 over, whatever it was, but I think they're going to be pretty gassed for this game. Jokic just dropped fucking 61 triple-double. They play really well in back-to-backs, but again, triple overtime back-to-back is another beast. But they should be able to beat the Spurs team, who, in theory, shouldn't be playing for much with their 2 best players out. And OKC, minus 14. Again, OKC is 10-0 against the spread in the last 10. I kind of want to take this, but I feel like eventually the books are just going to make this line way too big because they've been shitting on teams. But are they this much better than Detroit? I don't know. I think this game ends up being kind of a crazy one, but I'm definitely hoping that Pistons can score a ton here. And I would prefer, if Nuggets don't cover, or the Thunder, I would imagine that this over hits. So kind of banking on this one not hitting, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's everything for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Cheers.